World War I was one of the greatest threats that mankind had ever faced. The war was so large it split the world into two, forming two sides, the Allies and the Central Powers. Both sides had deployed over 70 million soldiers, and more than 9 million were never able to return home. World War I began in Europe on July 28, 1914. It started with the Austro-Hungarian invasion of Serbia and ended with a ceasefire agreement on the 11th day of the 11th month, during the year of 1918. This day was later known as Armistice Day, or as we know now, Remembrance Day. War is a time of deep emotional upheaval, and it has been proved that internalizing the trauma that war brings is extremely dangerous to the human psyche. Poetry is one way to release this trauma and share with the world the intense personal emotions that war brings. John McCrae is an example of a veteran who was scarred with shell shock and used poetry to help release the trauma. He was even quoted as saying, "All the goddamn doctors in this world will not win this bloody war. What we need is more fighting men," showing his true belief about the war efforts. John McCrae was born in Guelph, Ontario on November 30th, 1872, and passed away from pneumonia and other extensive pneumococcal complications in France on January 28, 1918. He was a poet, physician, author, and lieutenant colonel of the Canadian Expeditionary Force during World War I. With that, he was appointed to field surgeon in the Canadian Artillery and operated a field hospital. To deal with the intense feelings John McCrae was left with, he had decided to write In Flanders Fields. He used the poem to display the feeling in the world in an almost silent cry that has echoed to even today's world. John McCrae needed to tell people that many people had sacrificed themselves, and that if we do not continue their fight, their sacrifices would be in vain. Which can be seen when he wrote, "If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields." Herbert Hoover once said, "Older men declare war, but it is the youth who must fight and die." John McCrae exemplifies this quote because he was thrust into the battle to be a field doctor in Europe. He didn't choose to be a part of this horrific event, but he was appointed and was deployed. He died during the war because of disease. War is the embodiment of anarchy and suffering that forces young men and women to die of all which lay in Flanders fields.